Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I am back for my daily video in the lead up to Christmas, and we are up to number 21 on our advent calendar. After we've had a look at our vintage button for today, I'll share a piece that I made in a previous year for Christmas featuring a gingerbread house. But let's first of all take a look at number 21. And we have this beautiful vintage blue. It's a lovely blue actually, really nice. And it's got this faceted design and an indent here. And then on the back, the sort of the reverse, so it's more bulging out where the indent is. It's got little bits of wear, so yeah, you can definitely tell the age in it. But a really, really unique little button there. So that's our advent calendar so far. Only a few days to go on the countdown for sure. So we'll put that to the side and we'll move on to having a look at this piece. I haven't got you quite, I'll probably just need to take you up a tiny smidge so you can see the full piece. So this is my gingerbread house that I created for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. I used a felt to create my gingerbread house. I used some lovely vintage buttons. These ones are fabric covered with a houndstooth design on them. These were white buttons that I then used some ribbon to wind through and to create a crisscross pattern on them. I wanted to make them look like the lollies that you stick on a gingerbread house. I've got some of my Nanna's vintage rickrack. I'm really lucky to have a whole roll of this rickrack. I've shared some of it with my little packages I've sent out to folks. And then I've just got a, I think this is also vintage but not from Nanna, a red rickrack here. I used some Suffolk puffs that I made myself from some fabrics in coordinating colours. I used a corner from a tablecloth here to create the Christmas tree. So I actually put it onto, and I'll bring this up a bit closer so you can have a look. I put it onto a green felt backing. And I finished off and did overcast, really tiny little overcast stitches all around the edge to stitch it onto the backing. And then I stitched it down onto the piece. I added these little baubles. And I'd also, I think, yeah, I did actually do a wash with some watercolour. I had some watercolour pens, they're like paint pens, and so I put some of that in water and then washed the tablecloth corner just to give it a greeny sort of tinge. And then obviously had the green from the felt behind it, which you can see coming through at the little joints. But I thought, what a fun idea, because the tablecloth had this little motif in the corner with the little almost star on the top, and then I loved the hearts and just beautiful detailing. So a fun way to create a tree. I created little windows, so I cut out and then had the quilt that was behind. So this is a piece of quilt. There's a little look at the back of it. And I wanted to have the quilt show through in these two places, and then I used some of my Nanna's fabric, and it's got a tiny little gingerbread house. Well, I'm calling it a gingerbread house because it's a little brown house with two birds or two doves with a heart above it. So that's a lovely little motif, a little wish out into the world at this particular Christmas. And then using some lovely vintage laces to create a little garden bed in front of the house, and using those around the house as though they were the sort of decorative piping that you might do on a gingerbread house. Now, the reference to baking since 1980 is that my mum has made gingerbread or gingerbread houses every year when we were children, and still continues to make gingerbread, and my brother's taken for the tradition as well of making gingerbread houses for his family as well. So 1980 would have been when Mum probably made her first gingerbread house. She tells the story of how she and Dad bought a gingerbread house at the shops, but they were really disappointed that when they tried it at Christmas it was really stale. So every year after that, Mum would make her own gingerbread, and cut out the pieces so that my brother and I could each have a gingerbread house to decorate together, or possibly in the first years we decorated one together with Mum. But I certainly have fond memories of each of us, putting our own decorations on. I always made mine very delicate, whereas my brother tried to maximise the amount of lollies, or I think you might not call them lollies where you are, but sweets or candies, the amount that he could actually put on his on his gingerbread house. So he'd have jelly snakes coming out of the chimneys, and just every surface covered in icing and lollies. And so I made a little pocket here because I wanted to take a photocopy of Mum's recipe, which comes out of the Nursing Mother's cookbook. And so that's her recipe for gingerbread men, or ginger nuts, and that's what she used to make her recipe. And it's even got her little annotations of 3/4 of a cup, and I think that's 2.5 cups to equal to the weighted ingredients. So I've popped that in there as a little keepsake. I stitched down recipe, it looks like I just did a back stitch there, I think, just in a white thread. Made a little pocket and stitched that on. Looks like I possibly used a crochet thread or something around there. Looks like I also, or maybe it was just a white thread, just used that to do some little stitches coming down to create little flowers with the Suffolk puffs. And then, as you know, I love my little secret pockets and little surprises. I've got my little Secret Santa here, SS. My French laundry label, a little bit of rickrack as a little door opener. And then when the door opens, inside we have our gingerbread man. So I made myself a little felt gingerbread man, did an overcast or whip stitch all the way around, and put a little face on him. So he's a bit of fun, and he just sits inside there, and I just, for the door, folded the edges over, did some stitches along this side and folded it under, just like a bit of an envelope, I guess. You could use a similar concept, and I have used a similar concept with some of my little envelopes in my stitchery swaps this year. And that then just has a little silver doorknob button on it. Again, this fabric I'm pretty sure was from my Nana's collection. And I'd mentioned these little baubles that I added here. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, this one I'd stitched, I think, on some fabric first of all, yep, and then I just stitched the fabric down. It's actually a very, it's got a little sort of imprinted white design on white fabric. So again, it's just about the little details that we add to our pieces. So that is that, and I'm making good progress on my little presents to go in my bonbons. I've now got 4 of my little key rings with the pocket sized, or actually tiny sized, sewing kits in them, which I've shared in a previous video. And I'm just contemplating what to make for the men. I've toyed around with this little credit card holder / little paper holder, which I used a similar fabric that feels like leather but probably isn't, that I got from the reverse art truck. But I'm wondering if it's going to be too big on a key ring, so I'm not sure. This one I might keep for myself. And then I was wondering how I could use this similar fabric, or possibly this one, to fold it to just make a very small little coin holder or something. Because as I mentioned when I made these, I put a little coin pocket in, because often you do need a coin if you're going to use a trolley, if you're at a supermarket, or otherwise it's always just handy to have a coin in case you need to make a phone call and your phone's gone flash or something, or yeah, who knows when a coin might come in handy. So yeah, I'm thinking that's what I'll make, but I will report back. I've now got all the fabric and ribbons on the crown parts of my bonbons, so they are progressing along well, and I'll do some more happy stitching tonight on those. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope to be back tomorrow to share another piece of my stitchery and the advent calendar, and I'll update you on what's happening. Oh, and at the end of this I'll add a fun little photo of me with some gigantic zucchinis, or you might call them courgettes, from the garden they have gone out of control. There's at least another 3 more of that size down in the garden. It's a bit horrifying. So I'm joking that everyone is going to have to take a courgette home at Christmas. So thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.